Hello, everyone. This is Madeline Dale with the Chapter Goddess, and today I have one of amazing authors. I love her books, Miss Roe Braddy. So, Miss Roe, go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself and your books.
Oh, well, hey, Maddie, how are you?
I'm
Uh,
good.
well, good. And I want to thank you for having me on your show today. Well, let me tell you, let me see, what do I want to tell you about me? I am a retired teacher. I taught math and English to high school students who were enrolled in special education. I retired after, well, I can't even say retired. I think I paused. I paused education after 28 years in a classroom, and I did a variety of different things. I was an itinerant for a while, I was a consultant for a while. I've kind of done a lot of stuff. And then I decided that I wanted to take a break and I wanted to write. Um, I'm also a playwright. I've written and produced 3 community plays here in Harrisburg, PA. I've decided that I wanted to do something else and change the genre. I started off wanting to write children's books because I have a love of children and a love of children's lit. But I don't know. I had this love of romance and history. So I switched up genres and now I am an historic Christian fiction writer.
That So, Miss Rowe, that is amazing. Go ahead and tell us about you recently got an award for your books. Is that right?
Yes. I've been going to the RSJ conference now for the last 2 years. It's Romance Slam Jam Conference. They're centralized in California, but they also have a book club that's like all over the United States. So I became involved just through a book club, just reached out to them and said, hey, I'm a new author. And I wasn't even new at that point. I've written 8 books, but this was the first of a romance book. So I reached out to them because that's who they cater to, are romance authors, and particularly diverse romance authors. So I ended up going to the first virtual conference. And originally, you know how COVID is, it's kind of
Mhm.
put a damper on everything. It was supposed to be in Virginia. And I entered into the contest for the Emma Award. And I, you know, didn't even think I would win. This was last year. And I thought, well, it's worth a try. And I'm sitting there at my computer, like, I wonder who the winners are. And they called my name, and I was like, surely they made a mistake. Me, I won. So last year, or 2019, I won the RSJ Emma Award for Romantic Suspense. So this year, I was sitting, and it was virtual again this year. So I was sitting in front of my computer, and this time with a little bit more spirited hope because I was thinking just one, So I'm sitting there like, okay, reader's choice, because there's so many people voting for this book.
Yeah.
Not only did I win Reader's Choice, but I won Author of the Year. I won Most Loved Hero and Heroine of the Year, Reader's Choice, and Best Historical Fiction. So I was like, wow, it was so much more than I had, anticipated. So
That is impressive. Like that, I didn't realize it was that many. Because I know I liked a bunch of posts on them, but I don't remember which one it was.
yeah, I was really, really surprised. I kind of thought I was going to do Reader's Choice, but
Mhm.
when the other 3 came, I was like, wow. Yeah, so it is so encouraging for someone to say, "Hey, what you're writing, we're seeing it. We're, liking it." So I'm encouraged. I'm just gonna keep going.
Yes, that is super motivational. And I saw on your Amazon page you also are a playwright. Is that correct?
Yes, yes. And that was funny how I got into that. The first book, well, this is my fifth Emma. The first book I wrote, it was, mm, I want to say, it was before 2019. It was before I actually won the award for the book. I think I want to say I wrote the play in 2018, or like late 2018. And I had just been like thinking about doing a play. I love theater. I think if my father would have not stop me. I really wanted to be a theater manager. I wanted to go into theater management. So every time I had an opportunity to do theater, I did it.
Mhm.
And my husband said to me, "You know how much work theater is?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I know. I'm so excited." So I produced this play, and then it did exceptionally well here in Harrisburg, PA. It sold out.
Wow.
And when it sold out, I started writing the book of the same name, A Warm Heart of Steel. When I wrote the book and the play were so much different, but it did really, really well. So I won my first Emma Award with that. But then I wasn't really ever happy with the cover. So I stopped and I rebranded it. And so now what you're getting with these three books that are behind me is sort of the new release of A Warm Heart of Steel, because I call it my Warm Heart series.
Okay.
So the three novellas put together kind of constitute the original Warm Heart of Steel. So it tells that whole story.
That is awesome. Okay, so does Tilly May also fall into that? Because I know that's going to be in book
No,
4, right?
I've decided I wanted to do was to develop this pattern of always telling my readers what I was writing next, and sort of giving them a tidbit of it. Tilly May is a totally separate character.
Okay.
Tilly May. Now I'm going real historical in this one, so it's going to be a full novel called Freed Love, and what it is, it's takes place in the 1900s, like 1902 all the way up to 1920, during the First World War One, and also during the Spanish plague.
Oh,
So it's a love story about a young girl who ends up leaving her home. She lives in the red light district of New Orleans.
okay.
And I don't want to tell you too much of the story. So that's the premise of the story.
Yeah.
And she has this amazing voice, because I love old music, and I love learning about the history of particularly where African Americans were in that time period and what they did. So it's a really about black vaudeville and black burlesque.
Ooh.
Yeah, so it's going to be a very tangled love story in that time period.
I am very excited to read that. So I know, let's see, Waiting drops which day is it?
October the 13th. It's my daughter's birthday.
Is it? That is awesome.
Yeah, it'll be her final year of being 20. She'll be 29. And I said, okay, it's the end of this series. So I'm finishing off this three-book series with her birthday.
That is awesome. I know I just recently turned 30 this year and it is like a huge difference. So tell her
Oh,
it's coming. I feel the aches and pains in my body that were not there
girl, you
before.
ain't feel nothing yet. I had to get up and go for a walk. I was sitting here and a friend of mine called. She's like, "I've been trying to get you." And I said, "Yeah." I said, "I'm getting, what did I call it? I called it sitter's butt." Oh, no, office butt.
Yeah,
So I
from
was like,
having to sit and work so much. I love it.
I was like, I'm getting up and I'm going for a walk, getting out of this dungeon of an office of mine.
Yes. So tell our viewers a little bit about Surrendered and Waiting are both, they kind of go in hand. I know Scarred is Mavis and Ed, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then it's Matthias and Nezzy
Yes,
for Surrendered and Waiting.
yes. Um, and it's kind of like I said, all three of these books tell one complete story. So when you start off with Scarred, you do meet Ed and Mavis. Ed and Mavis are sort of like the catalyst couple who sort of get you to understand what happened back at Murder Creek.
Mhm.
So there's this whole thing, which I'm not going to tell you. Got to buy the book.
Yeah, that
But
it is big, guys. It's big. So
so they tell the story of what happens at Murder Creek to get you to understand, the relationship between Nezzy and Matthias, because Nezzy got issues, and you don't get to understand her issues until you meet Ed and Mavis. So then she struggles through her issues, and that's why I called it Surrender.
mhm.
And the titles are very distinct to the characters. So Scarred has its purpose, And then surrendered, it's where, you've got this protagonist who's struggling with so many things that she doesn't want to surrender. And then when you get to waiting, her and her love interest Matthias are wading through so much in their lives. They're wading through that time period because we're right at the pivotal height of the civil rights movement. So
Mm-hmm.
they're wading through that. They're wading through love. They're wading through her surrendering. And because it's romance, there's the happy ever after. You have to have that in a
Yes.
romance. So there is a happy ever after.
I love how you did the titles for these because that it is so true. Like each book has everything it's going on that goes with the title. And I wondered about that when I first started it. I was like, I wonder why she picked these names. And then as I was reading them, I understood it. So
Yeah, I don't know. I'm starting to get this one word title theme because the next one will be Freed Love, and it's very symbolic to what happens to this young girl, Tilly May.
mm-hmm. And I like the simple title like that. Like it's very clean. It's easier to look up. I like that.
Thank you. Yeah, I've even got the cover picked out for this one, and that's been such a struggle because your cover tells so much about the book, but it's like, do I want, you know, what do I want the cover to represent? And I love history, so I love historical fiction. I love historical romance. So I always want to have that element of the time period with the cover, but then I want to be able to move myself beyond the historical part into the romance. I want to, get a larger audience because you're drawn in by the cover. So it's really hard as a historical romance writer to think, okay, I don't want the cover to look old and dusty. I want it to look new and modern. So I'm still working on that.
Well, they look really good. I love them. They're gorgeous. So tell me, what does your writing like? I guess your writing patterns look like, or what is your typical schedule for that?
Lately, it's really hard. I am the VP of programs for the Big Brothers Big Sisters. So I
That is
have
awesome.
I have this work schedule that's kind of crazy because often I have to work on the weekends. And now that school started, being a nonprofit that works with kids, you get your biggest funding when school's in session. So my schedule has picked up and it's off to a roaring start because we start all our programming. So I had to really revamp my writing schedule to like write whenever you have a free moment. So before I had an 8-hour day writing schedule, and now it's like, okay, and I'm not always not being able to use my computer
Mm-hmm.
because I might be driving down the road going to somewhere. So it's if I'm sitting in my office instead of like working while I'm eating lunch, I'll like, oh, okay, I got 15 minutes before the next meeting. Let me go over here and do that. So I'm fitting it in. I'm fitting it in. Yeah.
That's good. I get you on the chaos schedules, so you got to do those writing sprints when you can. But if your creativity is not going, it's just no. So
Yeah. But I also write poetry too. And it was funny because poetry is such a quick write. So I was walking down the street. It was hilarious. There was this really there was a guy taking out his trash out. And there was this really pretty girl walking down the street. And she's walking her dog, and he comes out, he's got his trash bag, and I'm walking behind her, and he looks at her and he says, hello. He has a huge smile on his face, and she just literally just ignores him.
oh my gosh.
Bye. And I go, hello. And he just looks at me, turns around and goes, and I thought, great just source of a poem. So I'm with my phone and I'm going like, oh, this is a great short story. You have to take inspiration where you find it. So in my head, I started writing this whole short story about the pretty girl walking down the street with the dog, and the guy, like, he turns around and it's like, I wasn't talking to you.
That is great though.
Yeah. So like I have high hopes of. I probably have, I want to say close to 50, 60 poems that I really would love to get a poetry book out, like maybe somewhere near Christmas.
Ooh, are you gonna do it?
I like to, but it's sometimes when you write in multiple genres,
Hmm.
it's like where do I want to focus? Because I love flash fiction. I love to write a full, just juicy novel. I love the novellas, but I also love poetry. So
It's hard to pick. It really is.
yeah, you just have to stay relevant.
Hmm. So go ahead and share with our viewers where we can find you and your work.
Oh, sure. Of course, you can find me on Amazon. We're all on Amazon. I have I've really got to finish my website. Recently, I took it down, but you can still reach me there. It's just it's going to look totally different. So you can reach me at www.robraddyproductions.com. And of course, I don't know. I think it's where I'm the most comfortable with because
Hmm.
I love posting on IG. So you can also reach me on Instagram at Roe the Literary. And you can reach me on Facebook at facebook.com, Roe Braddy.
Awesome. All right, guys. Well, this is Roe Brady. Make sure you check out her novellas and her work coming out. You do not want to miss this series, guys. It is awesome. Miss Roe, thank you for being on our show today.
Well, thank you for having me.